sticky, ain't it?
Yeah.
I was going to.
I got all the nozzle broke
Yeah.
off. So I was, man,
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 22nd meeting of the Campbell County School Board. Sorry, but you're stuck with me tonight. Dr. Miller is out of town, and so I'm filling in for him, but he'll be back at our March meeting. At this time, let's start the meeting with our Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, matters from the floor. Dr. Johnson, we have anyone signed up?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the February 7th meeting minutes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Brandt, a second by Mr. Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item, consideration of adopting the 22-23 proposed budget. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What you have in front of you that was delivered by hand on Friday is the final budget. It's, I will just tell you that nothing in this has really changed other than we balanced it. We only have one slide tonight that we're going to show. Are we showing that? This is the same slide that we showed at the last meeting, but it was, you requested that we put some cost associated with those positions alongside of it, which we have done. I'll recap quickly what's in this budget. Primarily, it's a 5% raise for all instructional support positions. We have, and I'll show you in just a minute, we've also included money in this budget, approximately $800,000, to do work on the pay scale adjustment. And if you'll note, that is on page 5, at the very top, at the last of the classroom instruction category. You'll see it right above subtotal comp teacher scale. We put a marker in for that. The reason it's not already allotted or allocated into the compensation lines is, as I shared at the last meeting, it's not as simple as just putting, equal amounts of money into the scale. And we've had some, since our last meeting, we've had some illness with our staff. We were short-staffed, and this takes a lot of work because it implicates other scales. So, but we do believe that if this money materializes, if the General Assembly adopts this budget, that we'll be able to put this money into our teacher scale. And what we'll do is come back after we've had time to fully analyze it and review it and show you what the impacts that it will have on this summary sheet that you have in front of you tonight. Okay, so this is where we stand right now in comparison to our, what we call the area average in regards to teacher pay. And if all things stay the same, what I'd like to do is come back and we add a column and show you what the changes would be. Okay, but again, knowing that another locality could be doing something very similar, but it'd be our best effort, to improve our standing amongst our area school divisions that we compete from. So that's why there's a marker in there for this. It's not already allocated to the many compensation lines that are throughout the budget because we haven't yet determined where those monies will be, how much will be put into those lines. But as soon as we finish that, we'll make sure that we share it with you. If you recall, we went ahead and bumped up the minimum wage increase to $13 an hour. You can see the cost associated with that. That would be in addition to the 5% that our classified staff is receiving. And we've already talked about our transportation pay scale adjustments. If this budget goes through, our starting pay would be $15.59 for school bus drivers. The health insurance increase of about 2%, nothing's changed there. And then the different personnel positions that I've already talked about that is in the budget and the cost associated with those in approximate. So as I shared with you last time, it's early. This past weekend was the first weekend that I heard anything out of Richmond in regards to money. And I know that both the House and the Senate have adopted their own budgets. They differ some, and they will now share those with the other chamber, and then a committee will come together, conference committee, to work out the differences, and hopefully it won't take long. I don't see any real significant bottom line changes. It's just where monies might be allocated. If you recall, there's some construction money in this budget. We haven't seen that in a long time, but I know that in Richmond right now there's some discussion about what should that look like? Should that be a grant program, a literary fund program, and not given directly to us, or should it be dispensed in a different fashion? So we're watching for that as well. So let me pause there for a second. I've talked to many of you over the last week in regards to this budget with questions, and thank you for those. I will say that Dr. Miller and I spoke at length on Friday, and he's very much in favor. He wanted me to share that. That's not a proxy vote, but he just wanted me to share with you that he had reviewed it. I answered his questions, and he was in favor of this and hopes that it goes through, and commented that this would be the first time in a long time that he's had a budget like this, that we weren't sitting up here, really tight trying to find where we were going to get every dime. So let me pause and ask what questions you might have.
Will each teacher with the pay scale adjustment, will each teacher get something?
I believe so, yes. It's just what that is.
No, that's fine.
Yep.
No.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Johnson, can you elaborate on the mentor coordinator position that entails more than just a singular position? It's
That's right. So if you look,
several
yeah,
roles.
that was a question, and I can see why it was. If you look on page 13, I think it was, no, 12. Under personnel services, you will see that there's a significant increase in the proposed budget in that line. That's within the personnel department. Presently, the mentoring teacher position is a part-time position. That will be vacant at the end of this year, and the request has been made to make that a full-time position. But that's not the salary. There are 3 different salaries paid out of that one particular line. So that's not what it is. That most likely, even though we have not completed all of I would say, the job description and so forth, but a 12-month teacher position, a salary. That's a scale that it probably would be on. As you know, there's a teacher shortage now. There's a significant need for continuing to provide more support to our young teachers. It's challenging. And then also to assist with licensure in the personnel office. That's being done by a retiree right now that's outside of our office. And we probably need to think about in the future pulling that back into the office. So we're still working on that position, but that's not a one-person salary. It's 3 people's salary. And the only addition to it is the money to make it full-time as opposed to part-time.
Okay, thank you.
So is the teacher salary structure, is that under, can I ask a question about that
Yeah.
now?
Mhm.
All right. Clarify for me, table 1, 2, and 3 go for 0 years, 5 years, 10 years. And the line under the title says salary comparison at 0, 5, or 10. And then from 15, 20, and 25, it says salary comparison at 25 years of experience. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Is it? Okay, so in other words, it's salary, so it's 15, okay. Now, what I would like to say is I would like a commitment from the board that this $800,000 being put towards this is a first step. Because after all the dust settles and we see what the other localities do, we may have to pursue this again next year, because it's embarrassing that we are, the highest rank we are in any of these categories I see is 4th. And we constantly have Appomattox and Amherst kicking our butts salary-wise. And I think we need to commit ourselves to addressing this, not just 1 year out of 5, but every year until we get, you know, a higher ranking on a regular basis. I mean, we do this every now and then, and we still seem to end up, you know, not really where we want to be.
Yeah, can I speak to that?
Sure.
Once that you mentioned that we do this every now and then. We haven't done this
Right.
in years, not in my tenure at all.
Well-
Added money to the scale. We've always given cost of living raises, but we never gain any ground because every other locality is
That's
given a
exactly
cost of
right.
living
That's exactly
salary
right.
increase. So that's why if you can give a cost of living raise as well as make some adjustments to your salary scale, you can gain some ground, hopefully. But I would expect other localities to be considering this as well.
That's exactly right.
But this is still significant if we can pull it off.
I agree. And I mean, I remember talking about it in the past, that, you know, we kind of prided ourselves that, you know, 0, 5, 10, 15, we were low, but after your career, we were towards the top, you know, the career earning at like 30, not now. So, yes, that's, that 800,000, do it, and then we commit again next year to address it again next year.
Yeah. As soon as we have some suggestions and recommendations for you about how we're going to address it, we'll bring it back to you and share it with you and hopefully be able to compare.
Okay, thank you.
The work's being done now. We met early this week when folks were back in and had some discussions, set some criteria for what we wanted, and they're working hard on it.
Okay, thank you.
And I will say, Mr. Maddox, since our last meeting, we did add some additional dollars to the fuel line as we were balancing, in addition to what we had originally put in.
Going up.
What was that, like 17%? Something like that. Is that enough?
Pardon?
Is that enough?
I think so.
Okay.
We hope so. We hope so.
Well, if there are no further questions, I move that we adopt the proposed budget.
Make a second.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Jones and a second by Mr. Phillips. Is there any further discussion on the proposed budget? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. That's it for that. Dr. Johnson, do you have anything
Yeah,
else?
just a couple comments, real quick. We will be making an announcement hopefully tomorrow, getting a communication out. As you know, the General Assembly adopted a bill that was signed into law last week that made masks for students on school property voluntary. We had already been voluntary since January 24th, but the effective date of that bill, that new law, is March 1. And also last week, the workplace at the DOLE, the Department of Labor and Industry, their workforce board, safety board, met and recommended rescinding the emergency order that required employees to wear masks. In addition, there's also some discussion as to litigation or whether the federal mandate for buses will be continued. So we've had considerable communication with your school board attorneys last week, reviewing all of those different actions, and we have determined that on March 1, we will, masking for staff and visitors on school grounds will be voluntary, and we're not enforcing it on school buses. We believe that those are school property. That's how it's been interpreted. We'll get that information out, hopefully in a communication tomorrow, and we'll be updating our mitigation plan on our website. That's all I had.
Right, okay. All
And
right.
did I say March 1? It all corresponded with March 1.
Yes.
Okay,
Next Tuesday.
correct.
Okay, short agenda, but the next item is matters from the board. Mr. Jones?
First thing I'd like to do is express my appreciation, and Bobby, I hope you relay it to him, to Mr. Marston for giving us the site reports for the Rustburg Middle School project. They're very informative and give us kind of a insight as to what's, going on, and just tell him we appreciate it. I
Okay.
mean, it's really, really nice. And I drove down by the Citizen Services Building today, and are they gonna put the pipe under the road? Is that being held up by
Weather.
just the weather?
Yeah,
All
the
the
culverts are in.
So everything's approved to do it, it's just
It's been
weather.
approved, Corey. They got the permit late last summer, early fall to do it. And then there was some there's some changes with some VDOT, wanted some changes. And then there was a little trouble getting in. They weren't sure they were gonna get the culvert in and at what pace they were gonna get. Anyway, it's all in. Now they're just waiting for better weather in the springtime to extend that new road, Cardin Lane, all the way up.
Good. Certainly thank everybody involved for, getting the budget, prepared and ready to present to us for approval. A lot of hard work, and we appreciate it. And just a little bit of oversight. The Wednesday after our last school board meeting, I don't know what day it was, but it's like 2 weeks ago, we had a joint committee meeting with Leon and I and supervisors, Mr. Carwell and Mr. Shockley, and Frank Rogers and Cliff Twitty and Bobby and Clay. And we pretty much tried to address the Brookville attendance area facility needs. Had a lot of discussion, what we think we need, what some of the financial limitations may be, and we recommended proposing a PPE for the Board of Supervisors to put out for contractors, architects to propose a solution to our need of space at Brookville High School or whatever that may involve. So I don't know when that's going to be distributed or made available, but we're moving forward.
It's in draft form now. It should be going out soon.
Okay, so it's been a, I mean, I think Leon will say, and we kind of know what we need, there's just no place to do it. That's the killer part. I mean, it's a nightmare finding any space out that way, so we'll try to keep you abreast when we have these joint committee meetings. I know when we did the Rustburg Middle School project, everything kind of worked, went pretty smooth, and really the presentations from the different companies, the contractors and architects, it was really amazing what they came up with. So we're hoping some of the information or the proposals from some of the contractors and architects may open a treasure trove of something we had not thought about. So we'll see what happens. And that's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, not much tonight, just to follow up on that, Dr. Johnson. It looks like we are, in regards to the middle school, the timeline is extending out into the school year next year, potentially, or what's the?
So we have agreed to meet. We have agreed to have a meeting in March, once the weather breaks, and they get, do some quarter change, some financing, make sure everything's been paid as far as ordering, that we would meet in March, and we have agreed to have a standalone meeting to talk about the reality of being in that building at the start of the school year, and if not, what are our options to, to prolong that, how long we might be. So we'll have a better idea at the end of March as to whether or not, January, they did not, when you look at the weather log from July to December, they didn't miss a day. And they lost 13 days in January. They've been working 7 days a week. For those of you that have been around, I've been by there on Sundays, and they're working as much as they can work, okay? But the cold weather stopped a lot of the masonry work and everything. So it's behind now, and we are having discussions about, okay, then what are our options as far as opening school? Do we open on time? Do we open in the fall? Do we wait till Christmas, or what are we gonna do? And I'll have more information probably for you after we've had those meetings in March.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. I don't have anything further tonight.
Ms. Parker?
Yes, hello, everyone. I'm obviously excited about the March 1st mass optional for everyone on and in school property. I want to thank Michelle for, she helps me more than people know as I'm going through the onboarding process, and she's been wonderful, as with everyone that I've met with here so far on the board and at the table and in administration. And I couldn't be more proud to be sitting up here with everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Brandt?
Let's see here. Wanted to bring to everyone's attention, just saw today they got 4 new flags up at Brookville High School facing Laxton Road, saying Brookville Bees and all. Something new the principal has put up. Also, a new digital sign has been installed. Only thing to get it going, we just got to get a little electricity to it. So, weather permitting, we should get that done, ASAP. And just want to say good luck to all the students throughout the county be participating in spring sports. Best of luck to each and every one of them. And Mary, I think you covered everything as far as the joint committee meeting we had the other night with the 2 supervisors. Appreciate everybody's input, and but if you have any questions after the meeting, be glad to answer any questions you have. That's it.
I'd just like to thank everybody for their hard work on the budget. It's nice to see that we're hiring again and giving out raises and making scale adjustments. That's all I got.
Mr. Maddox, I don't have anything really to add to that other than just to echo appreciation for the hard work on the budget. And it really is exciting to see a budget like this that we're able to put out this year that, as Dr. Johnson said, has been a long time. Certainly not on my time on the board we've been able to do this, and it's really nice to be able to put our foot forward in a positive note for the teachers and staff at to the school district. So that's all I've got. Unless anyone has anything else to add, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. I remember.
Let's see here.